I'm Professor Pi. Welcome to my daily mathematical adventures. Hey, don't forget me. I'm Cowboy Rufus. I'm your favorite student. This is part 3 of the EOC test. I decided instead of making an hour and a half video, I'd make 5 videos about 18 minutes long, 17 minutes long. This is part 3. Follow along with the screen. You'll see the problem. You'll see my answer. And on this video, we're starting with problem 15. Hey, Cowboy, you ready to take over? You want to tag in? Because 15 is all about parabolas. I think that word is parabola. But Professor Pi, you're doing just fine without me. I don't know nothing about no parabolas either. So you just go on, and when I know something, I'll tag back in. Well, thank you, Cowboy. In the graph, f of x is moved to the left 4 units and down 2 units. What would be the equation in the new graph in vertex form? We have to put our problem in vertex form. Our vertex is right there. Our vertex is 2 out and 3 up. The x is 2, the y is 3. So in vertex form, that would be x squared. It'd be x minus 2 squared plus 3. X minus 2 squared plus 3. And now we are told that we want to move it 4 units to the left. 1, 2, 3, 4. And 2 units down. 1, 2. And our new vertex is minus 2, 1. Minus 2, 1. So we changed the minus 2 to a plus 2 to get it in vertex form. And we want a plus 1 at the end. Take a look at ABC. I don't know why I'm getting in vertex form. There's only one of those that ends in a plus 1. But it would be D. Vertex form. D. $16. A car salesman's business is analyzing the number of sales sold and the average daily temperature. The data is shown in the graph below. We have temperature on the bottom by degrees. When it's frigid, he only sells a couple cars. When it's 80, he sells 15 or 16 cars. And we have a very positive, good trend here. It's positive. Now, Cowboy, tag back in, because some of these answers you'll need to know. Okay, I know all about buying cars. I bought me a car the other day when I got my check. When I got my check from the subway, bought me a piece of junk car, but it runs. It's not as good as Professor Pi's car, but it runs. Okay. First thing I need you to do, Cowboy, is silence that cell phone so it doesn't interrupt my class again. Oh, okay. I turned my cell phone off. Please don't write me up. The temperature gives no indication to car sales. Well, of course it does. I ain't going out when it's minus 15 to look at no car. If the temperature is 50, the amount of car sales is definitely 4 cars. Well, they might sell 5 that day. How do we know anything definite? The higher temperature is correlated to higher car sales and causes the car sales to increase. Well, that makes no sense to me, because if you need a car, you're going to go buy it. But if you're going to go looking at cars, yeah, you do want it a little warmer. But it ain't the temperature that causes you to buy a car. You buy a car because you're allergic to walking. The higher the temperature correlated to the higher car sales, but does not necessarily cause the car sales to increase. That makes sense. That one right there. The weather does not cause people to buy a car. People buy a car because they're allergic to walking. Number 17. Select the graph It shows the solutions to the system of linear inequalities. Professor Pi, I'm out. You tag in. We have y is less than or equal. So 1y would be a solid line. That's the one that's positive. It has a slope of positive 2. Then we have y is less than -4. That's got the negative slope, and that would be the dotted line. So all our graphs have one positive solid line and one dotted negative line. So now all we have to figure out is which one is more, which one is less. Let's start with the top equation. Y is smaller than 2x minus 2. Y is smaller than our solid line. So it's not A. We take our line. What here? Why is this bigger? Now take a look at our other equation. Y must be bigger than or above the dotted line. Y is above the dotted line. Y has to be above or below. Let's get that equation back. There we go. Now I have the equation back. Y has to be below the solid line. And it has to be greater than the dotted line. So what we're looking at is it's got to be greater than the dotted line. It's got to be above. It's got to be above, not below, the solid line. So C is out, D is out. And then we got the dotted line. It's got to be to the left of the dotted line. So A is out. Our answer would be B. And if you put both those in your calculator would shade the area for you. 18. I'm now on prop. Now, cowboy? What about that? Oh, that's not cowboys. You, first row. Turn off. The following equation has two parts. First answer part A and then answer part B. Riley needs to save $300 for a computer. She gets an allowance of $10 a week and has already saved $75. How many weeks, X, till Riley will have enough money to buy the computer? Select the correct inequality symbol. Hey, do we want more money than 300 or we want less than 300? That's right. If you got $299, the computer's not for sale. If you got $297, the computer's not for sale. They want you to get your wallet out and get that extra $3. So we can use equal, or we can use greater than. We want equal. So we want equal or greater than. And now we have to do the math. 10 times X plus 75, 300, greater than or equal to 300. So 300 minus 75 is 225. Divide that by 10, and we get 22.5 weeks, which is why I thought I would need greater than, because it didn't come out exactly equal. And 22.5 weeks makes no sense to us. I don't know what a half a week is. She gets $10 a week. I don't think that means that her parents are paying her 10 divided by 7 a day. I think at the end of the week she gets $10. So we round up. 23 would be our right answer. 19. The following function is used to calculate the profit generated by selling t-shirts. F of X, that's profit. F of X is equal to 15 times X, that's t-shirts, minus $25. X is the number of t-shirts. F of X is total amount of profit. They want to know which statement is true if F of 200, that is, we're going to sell 200 shirts. So put 200 in for the X. When we do the math, we come out 2,975. $2,975, not t-shirts. How many t-shirts did we sell? 200 is what we put in for X. And when we got that out, we got 2,975 out of our calculator. A is not right. B is not right. And C is not right. D, the results in $2,975 in profit means that we made that much in profit. It doesn't mean we sold 2,975 t-shirts. If we did that, our profit would be much greater. The equation of our function f of x is equal to 3/2 x plus 20. I'm sorry, let me read that again. F of x is equal to 3/2 of x plus 120. And it tells us our domain, f, is between 0 and 60. It wants you to graph the function. It wants you to label the appropriate spaces. We have 20 squares by 20 squares. We have to graph some numbers between 0 and 60 on the bottom. And we could go as high as maybe 400 on the top. So I've decided to graph this. You could do it differently, but I decided to graph it as each little square is going to be 10 units. We got 20 by 20, and we got to graph that. You could graph it some other way. You could have each little square be 15 or 20. I thought my math would be less if each little square was 10. So now we need 3 points. Once again, remember we used to get 3 points? 2 points make a line, but 3 points lets us check our line. And let's start with the really easy points. Let x be 0, 30, and 60. We put in the 30 times x. X is 30, x is 0. When x is 0, we get 120. That's the y-intercept. That's easy enough. When x is 30, we're going to put in 30 times minus 3, which is minus 90, divided by 2 is minus 45. So that would be 120 minus 45, or we get 75, 30, 75. And the last point I decided was the easy one, 60. And on my graph, that's going to be 6 spaces out and then up. When you put in 60 times minus 3, you get minus 180. Divide that by 2, and you get minus 90. Minus 90 and plus 120 comes out 60, 30. So now I would go back to this graph. I've labeled it. You got to label the y-axis and the x-axis, and I'm going to label each square as 10, and I'm going to write that down for the people grading this test so they can see how you labeled it. And then I'm going to plot my points. If I plot my 3 points, I'm going to plot 0, 120. That's 0 out and 120 up. That's 0 out and 12 squares up. Then I'm going to go 3 squares to the right and 7.5 squares up and make a dot. Then I'm going to go 6 squares out and 3 squares up and make a dot. And all 3 of those dots will line up, so I will draw a line. Number 21, which will be the last one on this set. Which of the following relations represents a function? If you'll remember, we have a straight line test with a ruler, straight up and down. If you only touch one point, it's a function. If they give you the points, each domain, each x must go to only one and only one range. Well, take a look at our first one. A goes to 15, B goes to 14, and C goes to 16, 17. Hey, Professor Pi, that don't make no sense to me. C can't go to 16 and 17. Cowboy's right, which means A is not a function. Let's look at the next one down. Take a look at B. We got -2, -1, 0, 1, 2 in the domain X. None of them repeat, so we have no way of knowing this is not a function. So B is a function. Now look at C. Take your ruler, go straight down, and see if you cut more than 1 point off that parabola. No, you don't. And all parabolas that face up and down are functions. D. Y equals, or f of x equals 3x plus 1. Does it have a slope? What's in front of x? 3. What's the intercept? 0, 1. And all lines, except for the straight up and down ones, are functions. So D is a function. And E would not be a function, because when you take your ruler, you can put it straight down. You can go through 2 lines at once. So E is not a function. D is. So the right answers there would be B is a function, C is a function, and D is a function. We'll continue the rest on part 4. Thanks for watching another Professor Pi video. Yeah, y'all come back tomorrow. Cowboy Rufus and Professor Pi will teach you something new.